All right, welcome back. Now, 2 years ago, heads of state from 4 East African member states signed a protocol to develop an efficient railway transport system known as the Standard Gauge Railway. The railway is expected to reduce unemployment, the cost of doing business, and promote regional integration. The Ugandan team from the Standard Gauge Railway is now acquiring land and compensating people affected by the project along the eastern route, that is from Malaba to Kampala. I'm joined by Engineer Kasinja Chamgambi, the SGR project coordinator, to discuss the progress made in the construction of this multi-billion project on Talk of the Nation. Welcome, Mr. Chamgambi.
Thank you.
All right, now, of course, that story that we saw before the break, we understand you've already compensated about 1,097 people along that route. What criteria did you use? And of course, let's start with that.
Maybe so far we have compensated 1,800 people. We have compensated Tororo Corridor, 47 kilometers. We have compensated Butaleja, around 17 kilometers. We have compensated Namutumba, around 19 kilometers. We have compensated Luwuka, around 3 kilometers. Now we are compensating in Iganga. At the same time, by the end of this month, we'll start compensating in Motoro municipality. So far, we have paid over 1,800 people, and we are progressing well with land acquisition.
Okay, what criteria did you follow to pick on this?
Of course, we first carried out a design, and the design determined the route where we are passing. And now where we are passing, we acquired 60 meters of the corridor following the design. So the criteria is that if the alignment is passing or the route is passing through your area, then we contact you and then we compensate you and move on.
We've already had complaints. I'm sorry, but this is, you've just started compensation, but there are already complaints that people say you are giving them less money than what's their land or what they perceive their land to be worth. How are you resolving those issues?
Now, the process of compensation, of course, starts with the right of way, demarcating where you're going to pass. You survey and value. After you have valued, then the report is submitted to a chief government valuer, who usually modulates and approves the rates that we give. And so far, there are 4 districts where compensation has taken place. We haven't received very many complaints, though the challenge we have is that some people don't know how much land we are taking before we actually demarcate. That's why we have come with a bulldozer to really show people exactly what we are taking. So you find a person has 3 acres and you are cutting only like a small portion of that, and sometimes people don't know how to value that in response to the total land that they have. Okay. But so far there are very few comments, and I think we're making very good progress.
All right, how much money are we talking about before we can leave that issue?
We've so far spent around 38 billion Uganda shillings, but of course we're going to spend much more because we are coming into high built areas of Jinja, of Buyikwe, of Mukono and Kampala. We expect actually those areas to be extremely high because so far we are going to affect around 33 schools. All the way from Malaba to Kampala, we're affecting around 17 factories. So some of those installations and institutions are very expensive to compensate. And the challenge we have is that the right of way is a bit rigid, so you can't keep on tempering it. We have agreed it with the contractor, and that's what we are following.
Those are very interesting infrastructure that you talk about, the schools and the factories. We've had some issues within Kampala here, the northern bypass and the southern bypass, where people have refused to leave those areas and they've had to divert the road. Do you see such challenges coming up for you? Because it's a very, very key project.
Unfortunately, we can't easily change the alignment within a radius of 1 or 2 kilometers. If you have to change the alignment or where the railway will pass, because we're very strict on the curvatures, you need about 5-10 kilometers. So wherever we want the land we want, we have by all means to see that we get that land. You can't easily change. It's not a road because our radius of curvatures are 1.2 kilometers. So you can't easily dodge a person with 2 acres, 3 acres. But so far we haven't received a person who has said we are not going to move. And The other good thing, we got 53 kilometers of wetlands. We got wetland permits from NEMA. We got 22.9 kilometers of forests. So those areas have eased the whole of land acquisition. So far, we are around 68% of the total road from Malaba to Kampala.
Okay, you say you've spent 3.5 billion shillings in compensation?
No, 38.
38 billion of 7.6 trillion,
Yes.
which is the total budget of this entire project.
Yes.
This money you've got from the Exim Bank of China?
No, the money of compensation will come from the government of Uganda. And so far, that money we have received it from the budget of government of Uganda. It was appropriated for land acquisition of standard gauge railway.
Okay, but the 7.6 trillion, which is the grand total of this project,
Yes,
has been got from the Exim Bank of China.
We are still coming to a financial closure.
So who is funding this project?
We are still coming into the financial closure. We are discussing with the Exim Bank of China, and we hope by October we would have come to a financial closure. But so far, of course, the land acquisition falls on government budget, and we're utilizing the government budget appropriated from the railway levy. You know, the heads of state agreed that 1.5% of the custom value of goods into the country be termed as railway levy. So that's what we are using as part of that.
Okay.
And all the 4 countries have railway levies instituted, so we are using the same mechanism.
Okay, so this project is supposed to end in 3 years' time, 7.6 trillion with a funder whom we've not yet finalized with. What is the payment process of, how are we as Ugandans going to repay this loan if, Exim Bank says yes to this project?
Of course, first of all, this railway is built to reduce the cost of doing business, to improve competitiveness, but ultimately is to attract a lot of FDI into the economy. And FDI mainly in industries. And if this FDI comes, of course, the economy expands. When the economy expands, you have the ability to pay back within the shortest possible time. Of course, I told you we have 1.5 levy, 1.5% of all the custom value of goods coming into this country. So that actually will be used to pay back the loan.
Okay. The other issue is, of course, on one of the intended achievements, the goals for this project, the cost of doing business. How much do you intend to reduce it to, and what is it currently, and what are you aiming at?
Of course, it's very important to know that, one, the railway is going to reduce the cost of doing business from the cost of transport from Mombasa to Kampala. From currently, the figures come to around 20 cents per ton kilometer. We hope to reduce them to around 5 cents per ton kilometer, and that's a really drastic reduction. And that will help us attract investors within the country, especially to invest in in big industries, in value addition for agriculture, for minerals, and all these other raw materials. And once that is done, so the economy picks up. The economy, what they call the economic drag, is reduced, and the economy picks up, and then we can move forward. So we are going to, at least when we computed this time, we found we are losing around $2 billion yearly in transport costs. And that is because our transport from Mombasa to Kampala is very, very expensive, on top of the issues we have with road wear and tear on the road, the issues we have with accidents. So all those issues, when you actually bring them together, you find you're losing around $2 billion every year.
So how much do you want to reduce that to?
Of course, we are reducing it to zero. That's why we're building the railway.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, lastly, perhaps, is the issue of the job creation that the standard gauge railway intends to achieve. We've had, it's about 16,000.
Yes.
But let's talk about the fact that in most of these projects that the government has committed itself to, most Ugandans doing business had hoped that they would benefit from either supplying either bags or cement or, bags of cement or other material,
yes.
which has not been the case previously. How are you helping a Ugandan businessman to be able to benefit from this project?
Now, you have talked about 2 issues. There's the issue of local content and the issue of labor. Maybe to first clarify the issue of labor, we estimate we'll use about 16,000 people during the construction of Malaba Kampala Standard Gauge Railway. On the issue of local content, actually, we are lucky we have learned from other projects that have been ongoing, and we have instituted committees I must say, for example, for cement, we've already agreed with Lafarge that they will produce high-grade cement that is important for the railway construction, and then other companies can come in and supply the ordinary cement, as it were. And then for steel, we are discussing with them, and I think they will see how to improve the plants to meet the standards that we want. So local content, our prayer is that we reach 40, our target is 40%.
And that's a government requirement.
That's a government requirement, and we are working very hard to see that we achieve that. But the two main inputs, of course, is cement and sand. So cement and steel, and those are the key people we are discussing with now. Later on, we'll have a forum where we have all the private sector and see how to bring them on board to really prepare them to take up these opportunities. We have learned a lot from Kenya and Ethiopia, so we are not starting from scratch. We are actually improving on what they have done.
And by the reason for the bailout debate that we had was because some companies were complaining that government has given these projects to Chinese. Chinese are constructing, Chinese are supplying, Chinese are doing everything. That, you know, government, Ugandans doing business have been left out in projects that should essentially be, you know, their own.
Them. Yes, in our contract we are clear that the first priority will be for Ugandan goods and stuff, provided it meets the quality, quantity, and costs. So we are working with the local manufacturer to see that we meet that. But of course, on human resource, we locked it. 90% of the staff must be Ugandan, and 10% will be foreigners as well, to make us uptake the necessary technology required to build a railway. All
right. Engineer Kasinje Kyamgambi, I thank you. I've been speaking to Engineer Kasinje Kyamgambi, the Standard Gauge Railway Project Coordinator, and that was Talk of the Nation.